As you know, a Jeep is a very capable off-road machine, especially a one like this, the Jeep Gladiator Rubicon. But Magna says they have just created something even better. This black truck right here is fully electric Jeep Gladiator test vehicle. It's the Intelligent Terrain vehicle by Magna, and it has dual electric motors, and they say it's even better than a traditional gas-powered Jeep. Is that true? Well, we're gonna find this out today in Michigan by driving both of them off-road. So today we are at Holly Oaks Off-Road Park in Michigan, and I'm starting out driving the fully stock Jeep Gladiator. I'm in 4 high, so we're starting with some of the lighter obstacles, and as we progress, we'll see how it goes. The Jeep I'm driving, well, both of these are provided by Magna. The Jeep I'm driving was actually involved in a Rebel rally, which is a navigation rally that happens on the West Coast between Nevada and California. So this Jeep has already seen a lot of off-road terrain. It's a gas-powered V6. And of course, it's got solid axles front and rear. It's got the transfer case, it's got 4 low transfer case, and all the rest of it. And the vehicle I'm following, that's the new Intelligent Terrain demonstrator prototype. So hopefully, everywhere he goes, I can go. All right, so I'm gonna shift it into 4 low. Just prefer that for a little bit more control as far as my pedal is concerned. Of course, here I have about 280 horsepower-ish in this V6, and about 260 pound-feet of torque plus gear multiplication. This is a Rubicon, so it's got a 4-to-1 transfer case. So I'm gonna try to see if I can kind of crawl up here. So going in 4 low, I have a little bit better modulation. If I was in 4 high, there's a tendency like you use a little bit too much throttle and you can get wheel spin. So 4 low in a traditional truck like this makes a bit of sense. I'm gonna go back to 4 high. So we're in high now, and it's a little bit different experience. I have to use a little bit more throttle. It's a little bit harder to modulate, and there's a little bit of wheel spin. All right, I cannot wait to get into the electric one. Let's see how the electric one does. They say it's way better and easier to control. I want to see that. So there's a electric motor built in the front axle. It's a solid axle, like we were talking before. And there's an electric motor built in the rear, and the rear has the inverter built in, right, in one package. And both of them have locking differentials, so to speak, right?
That's correct. And you can actuate them straight through the stock vehicle interface down there.
Okay. So what is the the combined power output then?
About 440 kilowatts total.
Okay.
Vehicle, which is, I believe, 570 horsepower.
About 570. So you're more than doubling the stock horsepower output of the gasoline Jeep we were just in. So
approximately, yep.
Jeff, you're saying first we'll do kind of normal automatic mode.
Yep. So you'll have to use your pedal for this entirely. The vehicle's not going to help you at all. Basically, just go straight up. You should be able to make it with the open diffs. You might slip a little bit, but if you get a...
Well, it depends on many things. It depends on tires. It depends on, well, the vehicle weight, right? So you said this vehicle is heavier. It does have a battery.
Yep.
And the battery is 83 kilowatt hours in this prototype.
Yep, that's correct.
And the battery's sitting kind of in the frame.
Yeah, it's kind of between the frame rails, as big as it could easily be for this prototype.
Okay, gotcha. Well, you know what? That, for as heavy as this vehicle is, what, about 6,500 pound-ish?
Yep.
Plus we have, 3
Plus
people here.
Yeah.
That was relatively painless, and I wasn't using a lot of the pedal. All right, so what other tricks does this have?
So we'll get you turned on to the intelligent low road. So now you see it's in off-road mode. What you're going to feel is the vehicle is going to creep a lot slower, and it's going to assist you while you're creeping. So if you let off the pedal now, it's just going to kind of keep you going.
Oh, I see.
And then up the hill, it's also going to assist you up the hill. So you should be able to do it largely without pedal if you want to, but if you do pedal, it'll just kind of assist you along the way.
So it's almost like crawl mode in a way.
Yep, a bit like a crawl mode.
Some production vehicles have. Hey Mike, good to see you again.
Andre, good to see you.
All right, can you please introduce yourself for those who may not recognize you?
Sure. My name is Mike Dowsett. I'm the Chief Engineer at Magna for powertrain in North America, primarily working on e-drives and electrification.
Sweet, well that's a serious title. You do a lot of cool stuff. So last time I saw you, we were up in the Upper Peninsula doing some winter testing in the big GM truck.
Yes.
Right, but you're unveiling something new today that fits in a mid-size pickup.
Yes.
Like the Gladiator.
Yeah, it's a lower class of vehicle, yes.
So tell me a little bit more about this and maybe how it's different from the GM unit that we saw.
Sure. The thing for us is to make sure it fits in the vehicle. It has to be a drop-in solution. So what you see is the magic happens in here.
Okay.
Everything outside of this, we like to keep stock. So stock suspension, stock brakes, stock wheel ends. That's really important because it lowers the integration cost. So what we have inside of this is our gearbox, our motor and inverter. And the key thing that's different from the truck to the Gladiator is that we've integrated the power electronics and the inverter onto the axle.
Okay.
That comes with a bunch of engineering challenges because this suffers an awful lot of vibration and shock. So we have to design the electronic boards, the PCBs.
And it's this component here. Yeah.
Correct, yeah. And this space was free. So because the key impact points are here and here, we didn't take up any more space that could be used for battery.
Okay.
So we managed to compress the inverter by 30% and get it within inside the package. So having it integrated means that it's more efficient, more compact and much lower cost. So we have eliminated 3-phase cables and coolant hoses. We replaced the 3-phase cables with buzz bars. So a lot smaller losses, electrical losses, which
because you're not going longer distance, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So it means more range, more efficiency, which equals more range. So not all of our customers have space for this, so we still do offer a remote inverter, but this is definitely the best for efficiency.
And it fits in the Gladiator this way.
This is a Gladiator axle designed for the coil springs.
Okay.
The truck was leaf springs.
Yeah.
As I say, outside of this can be coil spring or leaf.
Yeah.
Inside is the magic.
So then there's your cooling circuit I can see, right?
Yes.
So can you give me a kind of a look inside? Like, what are some of these components? And because you have locker.
Yes, there's an e-locker in here as well. There's an e-locker and a park lock.
Okay.
So the things that we have to do for an off-road vehicle, we do need to have a lock-in differential, electrically locking, and we also need a park lock because, as you know, a lot of the off-road manoeuvres are quite dramatic and significant.
Yeah, big angles.
We actually have a park lock on the front and rear. Not sure if that will happen in production, but certainly on this we have a park lock and an e-locker.
Okay, so I'm in the off-road mode now, and here in the all-electric prototype, intelligent terrain. I'm almost not giving it any accelerator pedal. I'm just kind of creeping. And of course, the slower you go, especially uphill like this, the more difficult it is for traction. Interesting. Oh, I wasn't giving it almost any pedal. So that was I was trying to make it more difficult than it really needs to be, but it's super easy. Let me pause right here. Or actually, it doesn't want to pause. It wants to keep crawling.
Keep it going.
Wants to keep crawling and crawling and crawling. And also, the other thing I want to see is like regen, right? Because I was using a lot of brake pedal in the other Jeep.
So if you just like let off halfway down this hill, the vehicle will come back to a crawl for you.
There, now it's doing it. And you could see kind of the
Yep.
bar, right?
Yep.
And Jeff, so the idea is I can see you have some other modes like you mentioned, so sand and tow as well. Can you explain the tow mode a little bit, or?
Tow is mostly for driving feel. Basically, when you're towing, we want to send as much torque to the rear as possible so you don't get any torque steer on the front. And then it also kind of just makes it more distributed for efficiency in that mode while you're towing.
Okay.
So it wouldn't be something you really use out here, but...
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously a different use case altogether,
different use
so.
case.
All right, so there's a little bit of a straightaway, and I'm gonna give it a little bit of a launch, and then compare it to the electric one. Okay. Now the acceleration test. So Magna says this vehicle, could potentially do a 4-second 0 to 60. We're back in automatic mode, and I'm gonna just kind of mash it. All wheels are kind of clawing for traction. It's a totally different experience. Yeah, so I would equate it to what I'm used to in vehicles like the F-150 Lightning or the GMC Hummer EV, where it's just kind of very simple, very repeatable. You put the pedal down and the vehicle finds traction and just goes like heck. Even though it's heavier, it doesn't really matter. Has a lot of power potential. All right, so for this final climb, I'm going into 4-low. And I'm gonna see how it does. Good to see Holly Oaks here and get to try out some of their obstacles. And if it wasn't clear before, this Gladiator is fully stock. So stock suspension, it's a Rubicon. Stock height, it hasn't been lifted or lowered. I'm trying to take it a little slower. A little bit of scrapage using the skid plates, and no big deal. I'm using my brake right now. So just to slow myself down a smidge, even though I have the gearing, I do have to use a little bit of brake. And climbing up again. All right, now it's time to jump into the electric Jeep. So this is equipped with lockers. Actually, let me try both. That was pretty easy. Okay, nice.
Go.
This is once again auto mode right now, right?
Yep, this is auto mode. Just the top, you will skid the skid plate a little bit, so just come over slow, but should be okay.
Yeah, we touched it on the other Jeeps as well, or the other Jeep. It's really hard to see what the best line is.
To the right a little bit, you're okay.
What the best line is, but we're gonna go slow. So can you increase regen right now as it's kind of moving?
You can. You won't really feel it in the auto mode. The only way you'd feel it is in that off-road mode.
Okay.
For the auto mode, most of the regen adjustability is more tuned for like high speed.
So like slowing down off of a highway or something like this. Can we try the off-road mode now?
Yep.
Let me pause. Well, show me the front, because this is interesting. Because in that big GM truck, the front is independent, right?
Yes, it's a 3-in-1 independent in the front.
Yeah.
But in the off-road vehicle, it has to be a beam. we need all the axle articulation of the existing vehicle, which has a beam in the front. So if we were to put a 3-in-1 in the front, it would not be able to receive its trail rating. We wouldn't get the articulation we needed to achieve all the obstacles. So
Plus, you need to change the factory in a way, right, to kind of build a new front end for it,
sure.
right?
This drops in stock. We did not have to change the chassis, and we use the existing steering components. So it's a drop-in solution. Again, inside of here, all the Magna. Outside, stock parts.
So the front of the vehicle is where you're standing, right? It would be over there, and this is the cab here behind the axle. What about the weight of this? I mean, obviously you removed the engine, right? The engine is gone, but are you getting a lot of unsprung mass, or how does that work?
Typically on our beams, about 50 to 60 pounds increase.
Okay.
Not much when you think these are hundreds of pounds in overall weight.
And big tires too, right?
And in all our simulation and testing with lots of accelerometers, there's very little difference to the drivability with this small increase. Almost immeasurable, it's nothing.
Yeah, but then of course the vehicle itself, I mean, will weigh more because of the battery weight, right?
Correct.
So you have to change the spring rates, and you have to change the shocks and all that stuff.
On this demonstration vehicle that you've driven today, we only made small modifications to return the ground clearance to normal. So with the increased battery weight, we had a small sag. So all we did was put it back where it started because of the battery weight. Other than that, it's stock suspension, brakes, wheel ends.
Sweet. And like you said, electronic locker here, park brake here.
And this also has a disconnect. Because this is a secondary. So when not required four-wheel drive, when not driving off-road like we are today, this will be disconnected so that the permanent magnets are not moving, not spinning, because they create a back EMF that is less efficient. So a disconnect on the secondary is critical.
All right, so now off-road mode, lockers on, regen is fairly heavy. Or not as heavy as possible, right? Or
basically as heavy as possible.
Okay.
Off-road mode, yeah, this doesn't adjust it in off-road at all. It's just automatically tuned for about 2 kph.
So right now I'm kind of foot off. So my feet are not touching the pedals at all. And it's kind of crawling down, which is kind of what you want in crawl mode, right?
Yeah, and this is all powertrain control, so the brakes aren't doing anything. It's just the electric motors regenerating.
But the frictions brake obviously are there.
They're there.
In
they're
this
just
vehicle.
not helping stop the vehicle lift this way.
Cool. So I gotta tell you guys, I'm really impressed with the integration that they're doing with electric motors, how they fit into the Jeep Gladiator in this case, and how their software is actually controlling it. It's super impressive. Yes, there is, I think, a negative because the additional weight that the electric components like the battery adds to this truck, but the ride was actually quite smooth. So with the suspension changes that they did just for the additional weight of the truck, the ride was great. The control of the pedal was really great. It does have crawl mode, basically. They call it off-road mode. You have lockers, front and rear. What else do you want? I think it's true. This electric Jeep drives, at least on this terrain, maybe a little smoother and better than a regular Jeep. Wow. So we'll have to wait and see when this comes to market and how much it will cost and what kind of batteries will it have. So there's still a lot of unknowns, but I think it's a great first start. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and as always, check out oldtfl.com for everything automotive in one place.